could explain a little bit about the electoral college. Okay, some of you. Okay, all right. But how many of you know that your vote here in North Dakota is way more strong than someone, say, in California or Texas? Not a lot of you. As a not very populated state, we're of course to have not a lot of people here. But it also means that our state has a lot of power. And that actually has to do with how the Electoral College is set up and how we interact with it. As a first-time voter, I wanted to ensure that my vote was counted. I'm assuming, as all of you are going to be first-time voters, you want the same. But I also wanted everyone else's vote to be counted at the same weight as mine. With the Electoral College, the scale is imbalanced. If we can reform that system, still thinking about the states and their interests, we can try to balance the votes. First, we will tackle the need for change, delve into why we need to change it, to the reform needed and what we're going to do to figure out a solution, and the results of the reformation after that. Now let's get to our ballot box and get to the need for change. Everyone has an idea what the Electoral College is like. If you win a majority of the votes, you win more states, and the electors that come with it, you win the presidency. Most of you have heard the phrase 270 to win, right? But there's a problem that comes with the Electoral College. As said before, people's votes are weighed differently, and that's due to the baseline 3 electors that each state is given. The National Archives of the Government on November 4th, with the article called The Distribution of Electoral Votes, state that electoral votes are divided to give smaller populated states a bit more power to ensure that the large states don't have an authority over the Electoral College. This article continues to say, the founders of this country made sure that it's outlined in the Constitution that each state gets at least 3 electoral votes. They did this because of key yet highly controversial American idea, federalism. Federalism, or as Cambridge Dictionary defines it in 2024, the system of giving power to a central authority. But the issue is, and how it relates to the Electoral College, is how much power should be kept for the states and how much the states should be represented. That question is highly debated and has changed over time. But the main root is the equality of people. Does everyone feel represented, especially in the Electoral College? And that answer is no. Jocelyn Kiley of Pew Research Center, a political research organization, found in September 2024 that 63% of Americans felt that the Electoral College needs to be changed. But why do people even think that? Well, the Center of Voting and Democracy, in an article titled Problems with the Electoral College in 2024, found that people in Wyoming have 5 times the amount of voting power than in Texas, due to its small size. People are starting to have issues due to the Electoral College having too much emphasis on smaller states, and even swing states eventually. This gives the problem why there needs to be change. Even think back to 2000, 2016, even way back to the 1800s if you were alive. The percent of who got the most votes overall didn't win the presidency, and that raises issues. The root cause is the Electoral College. Political reporters Anna Paz and Sam Levine of The Guardian found on November 5th, 2024, that one can win 22 states with a population of only 38 million and still win 95 electoral votes, compared to one state, California, and their population of 39 million, but only 54 electoral votes. This ties back in how small states have a great power over larger states. Harvard political science professors Alex Kaser and Elizabeth Kavanaugh on October 29th, 2024, show how it's a problem even with swing states. If a margin is, say, 50% to 49%, and the winner-take-all method is in place, 49% of those votes, which are usually in the millions, like in Michigan or Pennsylvania, do not count. This shows the flaws of the Electoral College. Next, let's cast our ballot and find a solution that will satisfy the problem of the Electoral College. There's a plethora of solutions that we can think about. David Burke of Citizens Take Action, a political organization in 2024, finds in 2024 that we could pass a constitutional amendment, but in today's society, in his words, would be nearly impossible. Or states could pass an act where they can force their electors to go with the winner of the popular vote, or even proportionalize their electors with the popular vote. While this is very practical and effective, the problem is that it would be a complete overhaul of the government foundation in each state. and it could cause more harm than good. But what is possible in today's society that could solve the broken electoral college? Well, let's dive into a solution that's actually almost been implemented. Robert Yoon of Seattle Times um, and the Associated Press found on November 5th, 2024, states that Maine and Nebraska have already started the solution towards the electoral college. It's not to abolish it, but to change what you can without violating the Constitution. They use a divided electorate system. They will always have two electoral votes going to the popular vote winner in each state, and then they go by representative district lines. And then they have the winner-take-all system within those district lines, with one vote each. This is similar to how other countries do it, like the United Kingdom or France. This solution can be reformed through individual acts in each state, a federal mandate, a federal law, or even state or federal amendments. Many different ways we can approach it. But the way that it's best in our society and in our age is go by state and make a new law. We will first, of course, have to advocate. This can be by calling or emailing your representatives, or even your senators, to protesting or taking the streets peacefully, to maybe even signing a referendum or a petition to show that a large amount of people are unhappy. Then, once the bill has been created by a lawmaker in the state, it would have to be bipartisan and ensure that both parties agree. Once we get to the state reform, we would have to implement this into the next presidential election. Could we see if this could work is the main question. Now, let's leave our ballot box and see how our new voting system handles your vote. We can see by this very complex graph how the 2020 election has been affected by our new system. As we can see, or if you can remember, this made a lot closer than it was. But what do the numbers say? Well, Joe Biden won 56% of the electoral vote in 2020, and Trump won 44%. But with the new system, Biden won 52% of the electoral vote, Trump 48%. This correlates a lot closer with the popular vote, which was 51.3% for Biden and 47% for Trump. The results should portray accuracies with the popular vote, reduce the pinpoints on swing states, and help ensure the weighting of the votes gets way more equal. Yet, with inaction, this system could cost campaigns way more money, as they have to invest into more districts, more states, and the country overall. Plus, of this new popular vote in each state still there, the winner-take-all method, there could be still some aspects the problems of swing states. And gerrymandering is still a problem with the United States, as it causes one party to have a leverage or a proportionally greater advantage in each state. With the Electoral College being very complicated, sometimes we think we can just restart, but we can't, unfortunately. It takes little by little to make a big change. And that's what we have to do in this case. We first started with the problem, why the Electoral College needs reform, onto our solution, where we discuss the changes needed and expanding what Maine and Nebraska have already done, to our visualized results, what we can expect. Think about your vote and ensure that you know you can make a change, whether or not it's weighted differently. Even though this may be controversial, I want everyone to act upon one thing, is just vote, because vote causes change. Thank you.